Hello, everyone. My name is Sven, and today I want you to think at least of some alternatives at that moment, at that critical moment when unfortunately you have to say no. In real life, obviously, we all have to say no, and that's totally legitimate. But in a speaking test, I would recommend you try to come up with something better, unless you have very good reasons why you don't do something, and you can explain it well. You can talk about for a minute why you don't do something or don't like something. If you could say that you don't play sports because you're too busy with schoolwork, but what else could you say? Huh? And again, I want to present you two alternatives to that strategy so you can actually keep the flow of the conversation rolling better, and you can actually fill the time better, and you have more vocabulary to present. You have a whole library out there, but if you say no, then it's kind of hard to show off your English, because this is what an IELTS test does. You are up on a stage and somebody hands you a microphone to sing, and what if you don't sing? It took like 6 months of preparation, and now you're there, and you also have to pay quite a bit of money to uh, to do the IELTS test, and then you have 15 minutes reserved for a speaking test, and you have to fill the time. But what can you do instead? So if unless, like I said, unless you have a really good answer and you can explain well why you don't like doing something, or you don't do it, or it's not the case, well, two alternatives. The first one being you just prepare yourself before you actually take the IELTS test, and you come up with a story or several stories about hobbies you do. And don't forget also with whom and when and where. That makes the whole story richer. So instead of saying, no, I don't play any sports, you just say, well, I do play badminton on weekends with my best friend at the local sports center. Usually Saturday morning, but if one of us can't do Saturday morning, then we'll meet Sunday afternoon. No? And then you've mentioned the day of the weeks, and you have used but, and you have presented alternatives, and that makes the whole talk so much better than just saying, no, I don't play any sports. So that's the first alternative. Basically, you lie, you make up a story. Now, an, another strategy, and I think that's actually kind of slick, that's actually kind of clever, is when you go back to your own childhood and you compare and contrast your life as a child and young teenager to your life now. So if somebody says, well, do you have any hobbies? Do you play any sports? Or what do you do to keep fit? Then you could start by stating the truth and saying, now, well, I'm afraid I'm a bit too busy nowadays to play any sports. However, I used to play a lot of sports, and I quite enjoyed it. When I was 6, my grandpa taught me to play chess, or your grandma, or your mom, or whoever. And then I actually joined the local chess club, and I even played some tournaments. And once I came in second, and once I came in third. No, so that's the first like childhood story. And then you can jump a few years ahead, and then you say, then when I grew older, we used to play a lot of volleyball and basketball at school because they had a really nice court, no, or something like that. And that way, as the alternatives, are endless here, um, you have a much richer, story and scenario, and you can show off vocabulary which isn't too hard. You just have to remember to use past tense when you're talking about your childhood. So you have to change every verb, so you need to know these forms. So either the verbs end with ed, or you have to actually change the vowel. And There are lists in all those grammar books. I'm sure you've seen them, and they're also on the internet, of course, nowadays. Yes. Well, I can model three answers briefly again, so you can actually see the alternatives. And again, all three strategies, when you have to say no, are viable. First one, you stick to the truth, but remember that it's kind of hard to explain why something is not the case. It's easier, to explain why you like something or why you're doing something, but if you don't, well, then, no, it's a little bit like you're dropping the ball and you're putting a stop to the conversation, which isn't good. Ideally, the conversation is kind of like a flow where it goes back and forth, like a ball in a big bowl that you keep tilting back and forth. Oh, just imagine. I mean, it's maybe a silly example, but that should work. And the second strategy would be to totally lie and make up a story about what sports you actually play. And keep in mind that you can also mention two sports. I wouldn't go beyond it because that's like silly. It's like too much. But yeah, sure. You play one sport in the evenings, maybe badminton, after you're done with your college work. And then on weekends, you actually play chess or whatever you want to say. But don't forget with whom, where, and you have much richer material. And the third strategy is to go back to your own childhood because showing off that you can use past tense is a very fine strategy to survive a speaking test. Don't forget the phrase used to. I used to play volleyball in school, but now I don't because I'm too busy. And then you have three strategies which you can use them all. But the bottom line is how to fill the time. How can you fill the time? Because it's a stage, it's an opportunity for you to shine. Okay, good luck. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.